Alright, welcome again. We have a very brief case study to look at today, and this is a solution to one of the assignments that were given to our students at ID Analytics. If you would like to join the program, you'll find the link to the course in the description. We have a schedule for our staff members at ID Analytics, and on this column we have all of the names. We have the companies that they work for, more like the sub-companies that they work for, and then we have the date of birth. So what we would like to do is to know when their next birthday would be. Also, we have the date they joined, and then we have we want to calculate when their next work anniversary would be. So think about it this way. We know somebody's date of birth. So first person here, Goodluck Jonathan, who works for our sub-company in Bielsa. The date of birth is 28th of January 1980. By the way, these are all just some fictitious dates. So date of birth 28th January 1980. So we want to know when their next birthday would be. So think about it this way. This is 2025. When would their birthday be in 2025? So that essentially would be 28th of January 2025. If I come here to this person, 26th April 1969, that was when they were given birth to, which means that the next birthday in 2025, so to put, will be 26th of April 2025. How can we get Excel to do this computation for us? There are two ways to think about it. We'll look at the basic one first, and then we'll look at the one that is a bit more dynamic. We'll look at that next. So let's start with the basic. How do we think about this particular case? The way to think about it is this. The first is, before we can know when somebody's birthday would be, we need some essential instrument. We need to know their day of birth, the day of birth, and then we need to know the month of birth. Apparently, these two are always constant. Day of birth will be constant, and then the month of birth will be constant. The only thing that changes is the year of birth. So their day of birth will be the same. So for this person, Goodluck Jonathan, that was given birth to in January 1980, his day of birth would always be 28th of January 28, and the month of birth would always be January. What would always change is the year of birth. So in the birthday for him in 1981 will now be 28th of January 1981. So the year is what would always change, which means that what we need to find a way to get is now how can we dynamically get the year, and then we add that to the month and the day that we already know. Maybe that makes a bit of sense. So let's come in here. What we'll do is I come here to equal to, we have a function in Excel that allows us to create dates, so which is the date function. If I tab into the date function in Excel, you see that it's asking for three things. It's asking for the year, the month, and the day. For this moment, I can just say that the year is 2025. If I say the year is 2025, and then I say the month is January, which invariably would be 1. That's the first month of the year. And the day is 28, as we have seen in the date of birth. I leave it this way, I close the bracket, I hit enter. This tells us that the next birthday in the current year will be 28th of January 2025. But here we have some static figures here, which means if we would like to do the same for all of our staff members, we would have to manually input the year, the month, and the day, and that is what we essentially want to avoid. So how can we get Excel to do this for us? What we need to do essentially is that we can say that the very first thing is to pull out the day from here, and then we'll pull out the month from the date of birth. Let me add two columns here. I'll delete these columns later. So let's say that I just want to use this to get the month of birth, and then I want to use this to get the day of birth. Okay, so what I would do to get the month of birth is, in Excel we have the month function, so I do go to month, and then the serial number is asking for is the date, so the month takes in the date, and by serial number is just because Excel recognizes dates to be numbers. So I select the date of birth and then I hit enter, and this gives us, this is actually the month, January. But let me format this so that this is not confusing. So I'll just do this like this, so this is not confusing, and then we see that we have 1 here. So if I pull this down, you see for this guy that was given birth to in April, then the month of birth is 4. And then for us to get the day of birth, I can do equal to day, and I select the date of birth, I hit enter, it gives us 28, and I can push this down as well. So now that we have the month, we already have our month of birth, and we have here the day of birth for all of our staff members. Then the next thing to do is to find a way to dynamically select the year so that we don't hard code it to be this year, which means next year this should automatically update, and then it picks that next year will be 2026 for them. We also have a function in Excel which is today. I pick today. It has no argument. I hit enter, and then this gives us today's date. What we can now do from this is we can now extract the year from this. So if I come here to now see the year of today's date, that will give us 2025. So now, which means for us to get the year from any specific date going forward, we just need to get today's date, and then we wrap the year function around it to extract the year from it. Hopefully that makes sense. Now we have all of the different pieces, so let's put them all together. What we'll do now is I'm going to delete all these 2 columns, Control minus, then I'm going to delete this as well. So I'll come in here, and then we'll resume our date function again, equal to date. And now for the year, we already saw that we need to pick the year from today's date. So I'll say year of today, and this will give us the year of the current date. And now for the month, we use the month function just like we used earlier, and then we extract the month from the actual date of birth. And for the day, we use the day function, extract the day from the date of birth. I close this bracket like this, I hit enter, and now we have this to be 28th of January 2025. That will be the date of birth this year. If I pull this down, then we'll see that we have this all to be filled out. And for the last person, Donald Duke, who works in our sub-company in Cross River State, who was given birth to in July, on July 10th, 1968. His next birthday will be on the 10th of July 2025. So this is a basic way of looking at this, and the flaw with this is that if you look at this for a moment, for example, this particular guy, this first guy here, who is Goodluck Jonathan, what you would have seen is that today's date, if I come here and I do equal to today, and I hit enter, see that today's date is February. So if I just format this so it shows the month, so today is 15th of February 2025. What that means is that for this particular guy, his birthday this year has actually passed, and so for us to now make this fully dynamic and then have a comprehensive solution, what will happen is that for any particular birthday that has actually passed within the current year, we want this to switch their birthday to the next year. What that would mean is, because today is 15th of February 2025, and this guy's birthday in 2025 should have been in January, which is the previous month, then what we want to do is to make this a bit more dynamic, such that if the month of that birthday has actually passed, then it picks 2026 to be that next birthday. So instead of saying 28th of January 2025 to be that next birthday, then what should happen is this should actually show 28th of January 2026. How do we then make that happen? Watch the next part of the solution.